Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself today. I want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to Analyze This. I see Prof is ready. Anyway, Prof, it looks like you're sitting in the dark. Yeah.
I actually put on the light, but I don't know why it is still behaving like that.
Oh, okay. Is it
Yeah.
overhead? Is the light overhead?
Yeah, and
Okay,
because there's light on my back,
right.
it's making it a little bit.
Yeah, you probably would need a light that will face you.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do that next time.
I
Right now
know.
it's too
I
it's too
know.
late.
Anyway, how's the week
Yeah.
been so far?
Oh, it's been great with all the crazy things up
I
and down,
know.
but
I know. Yeah. Alrighty. Whilst we talking, I'm trying to set up the Facebook. Um, all right. So today we're gonna continue with the discussion we started last week. We spoke about today we'll have some time to talk about Galamsey. Last week we spoke about the Boko incident. We spoke about instant justice. Um, I don't know why this issue of instant justice it's so it keeps rearing its ugly head. This week, a couple of issues happening in Ghana leading to the loss of lives. I don't know, especially when it happens at the hands of law enforcement and state institutions who are supposed to know better, who are supposed to protect life and property, who are supposed to know the value of human life, and decide to take the law in their hands and decide to um, not follow the due process. It really bugs my mind. I really can't wrap my mind around it. We spoke about fires in Ghana. I know we'll do a brief recap. Give Prof the opportunity to also put in his 2 cents, and then we will jump on to Galamsey. Um, it's one issue that scares me. I don't know, but anytime I think about this galamsey and it's doing to our forest and our river bodies, I get scared. And I believe that we're gonna discuss this issue without any um emotions flaring up. So I believe that we're gonna put on our cool hats and be able to discuss this issue intellectually and be able to silence and cap our emotions. So we will be able to um, learn and begin to understand and see the bigger picture of the threat facing not just Ghana, not just West Africa, Africa as a whole. Its repercussion is enormous, especially if you take into consideration the significance of Ghana to the rest of the African countries. We really have to be careful and try to find solution to the problem of galamsey destroying our forest and our water bodies in Ghana. All right, without much ado, let me jump straight. Um, as usual, creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. So educate yourself and create, educate yourself and invent. On this platform, we don't entertain insults. However, we entertain divergent opinions. As a matter of fact, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who will be looking at stuff from a different lenses so we can learn from each other, better ourselves and better our community as a whole. So, Prof, I don't know if you want to give a bite to the Boko incident, issues of instant justice, the fire outbreaks in Ghana. Just introduce yourself and have a bite at it.
As usual, my name is Kodwe Frimpong, and I'm also a worker and advocate for AfriWeek and SETO. We believe in ingenuity. We believe in the African, wherever he may be, either on the continent or within the diaspora. And we believe that when we all come together to work together, Africa will rise again. That's the promise of Africa. Well, for me, everything comes down to expectations and how systems should be modified to work if they are not working today. For most of the African continent, I would say that systems don't work. Our people don't even believe in them to begin with. We've continued our belief in strong men and in the hope that some strange occurrence in nature or the universe will come to our aid. We've not put in systematic systems that are expected to work. And even when there are problems, we fix the problems within the system so that it doesn't become an ad hoc kind of a living going forward. So as long as our people don't believe in putting down systems, viable, robust, amenable, changeable systems that take into effect things that come into being as we go along. And we feel that anytime there's a problem, we have to reinvent the wheel. We are going to keep running in circles. The issue of instant justice is really, really sad. I think we gave it a full day discussion some time past. And until our people can trust the systems, especially the security organizations like the police, the military, etc., we are always going to find ourselves in this instant justice mode. With the fire, with everything else that is going on, particularly in Ghana, I believe the same way. The only problem that our people fail to know and to understand is that it is all nice and dandy when it is not happening to you. When it happens to you or somebody close to you, you will understand what we are saying. Because if your brother gets shot and is killed by the police or by the military, because somebody just shouted thief or there's a misunderstanding, you will understand how it feels. Why do you have to wait until, it happens to you? And as always, I say, if you really want to know how our forefathers thought about certain things, go back to our idioms and our proverbs. Kwasiano say, yedi obi na yeneme, which literally means it is only a fool who says this is only happening to others and not me. It means that the society as a collective needs to feel the pain of individuals within the society. You cannot just sit there and say, it is not happening to me, so it is okay. And for the most part, that's what is happening. Oh, this is a thief, and that's why we killed him. This is this, and that's why it happened like this. When your house is on fire, you understand why there is a need for the fire service department to be effective and efficient. Just because it happened to somebody else in Accra or in Kumasi and you live in Boku does not mean it is not necessary. If you wait long enough, it will come to your doorstep. And that's my opinion, Sal.
If you wait long enough, it'll come to your doorsteps. I just want to reiterate, I know I said this last week, about those who may not know the workings of the fire department and so are angered by certain narratives like, oh, they just drove the empty tankers to the place, so people begin to argue with them and try to get in their way of doing their job. We have to desist from that. If we have any concerns, if we have any complaints, I believe there are appropriate quarters as we can um, lodge our complaints or make our voices heard or known. At that point in time, they're there for a specific job. They're there to um, take control the fire or take care of the fire outbreak. So please do not go and fight them. Do not go and argue with them because you're wasting time. And the more you're arguing with them, preventing them being in their way of their duty, you are causing havoc because the fire will keep spreading. Yes, they may have challenges when they show up, but give them that peace of mind so they can think through and know what to do because they are professionals. They know what to do. You have no clue of how they do their jobs. And last week I explained that's part of the reasons why they move the empty tenders to the fireplace is because when the tender is full, there is a tendency of slowing them down to get to the fire site. Number two, the least mistake, it can overturn the vehicle. So it is always best that the tender is empty. When they come over to the site, they have to hook up to the fire hydrants. So that is why it is important that we make the fire hydrants available. Please, last week we spoke and called on town country planning commission or committee to make sure these fire hydrants are available, they're accessible. So anytime there's a fire outbreak, the fire department can get to those fire hydrants because that is their main source of water to fight the fire. The tankers, and it's done most places. It's done most places. Even in the United States, they move empty tankers to the place, hook up to the fire hydrants, and do their job. Anytime you see fire tankers that are full, that comes to the site is a secondary, it's a backup tanker. Usually the first respondents, depending on the kind of fire outbreak, they move without any water in the tanks. So sometimes people don't understand these technicalities and they'll be like, oh, I'm mobile and so need tank move free uncle and all that stuff. You don't even understand what they're doing. So please, let's be patient. I know sometimes emotions flare up, emotions are way high up, and you may not understand what they're doing, but don't get in their way because it is going to cause more havoc and more chaos. With that being said, we just want to jump straight into oh, and I think the Baku incident, it looks as if negotiations have started. Um, the Otumfor Osage 2 has been tasked by the government to handle this issue, and we're praying that he would have the wisdom and the insight and the diplomacy to be able to resolve that issue because, like I said, we don't want any military intervention. Yes, we can send the military there to make sure people are being lawful and people are abiding by the rules and what have you, curfews and what have you that has been put in place. But do not let us militarize it because then other people are going to take advantage of it and it might blow up into something we cannot contain or something that may get out of hands. So I believe that at this point in time, we should back the negotiation efforts. We should back the act of bringing all parties to the table to discuss and find a lasting solution to that problem. And finally, we want to entreat the politicians to back off because they are the major cause of this issue. And I'm glad, like I said last week, that the president deemed it fit to hand it over to a traditional king to handle it. So politicians, please back off and let us find lasting solutions to the problems in Bako once and for all, for development and progress to come to that area as well. All right. I don't know, Prof, if you have something to add to that before we move to Galamsey.
I am very glad you brought the political angle because it is the utterances of our political elite that sometimes flare up such regional and local conflicts. Secondly, our politicians need to leave our chieftaincy institutions alone and intact. Because if they become politicized, as some of them want to make it, the trust that the people hold in our chiefs and our queen mothers is going to erode. And it will be impossible to use them as, agents of peace when there are crises in our societies. And for any chief that is dabbling in politics, showing preferences to one political party or to one particular uh, political personality in public, we are begging you for the sake of, the future of our children and our society, please do not dabble in partisan political discourse in Ghana or elsewhere that chieftaincy is revered, so that this ability of our kings and our queens to be able to come in and broker peace when there is a need remains intact. Thank you.
Righty. So that their capability of coming in to broker peace would be upheld and will be effective. Thanks, Prof. So this Galamsey issue, sometimes it's mind blowing. I don't know where or how we even developed this attitude. I I I I thought I thought there is a saying that Ghanaians happens to be one of the most hospitable people in the world. So what happened to that hospitality? What, in the first place, what kind of hospitality? So does it mean that hospitality happens to be genuine or fake hospitality? Because hospitality is a sincere concern and a welcoming, you create a sincere and a welcoming environment for all people. In other words, anybody who is hospitable thinks about the welfare, thinks about the human lives around him or her. They value the human lives around him or her. So it beats my mind when I see pictorial views, especially the area views of this Galamsey areas and how they are devastating the forest and how they are impacting our water bodies, and people don't have any empathy or any remorse for this criminal act. It beats my mind. So I keep asking myself, the issue of us being hospitable, what does it mean? Is it just we smile to people because we're thinking of what we're going to get from them, or we smile to people because we genuinely care about the welfare and the progress of people, of humanity? I think that it's gotten to a point where the nation would have to rise up in anger. When I mean anger, I'm talking about positive anger. First of all, the ally that that allows people to go into our reserved forest needs to be repealed. And like I said the other time, um, um, the president campaigned on that issue, and he promised that he was going to repeal the LI, but for some reason, they're talking about amendments now, which blows my mind, and I just don't understand. You know, when we go back to the definition the Aborigines Right Protection Society gave to us concerning lands, the definition of lands they gave to us in Ghana. If we really understand that definition they gave to us about lands in Ghana, we should be up and angry about this situation and not just be rhetorical about them, but be acting from the topmost person of the land to the least person of the land. We should all be angry about the situation because the definition of lands made us understand that we don't even own the land. It is the property of our forefathers, and we are just holding it in trust for posterity. That is the definition they gave. So if you're holding in trust something for posterity and you want to hand it over in tatters and in ruins to posterity, is that what we're trying to do? I seriously don't understand. You know, we've allowed greed to take over. And this issue has been heavily politicized. Politicians are benefiting from this issue. So one political party comes in and throwing all the jabs and the jargons, and they get the power and they don't do nothing. I want to plead that this time let us bring all forces to bear on this government to do something about this Galamsey menace. I know what's his name? This radio host Okatachi
Yeah,
is
he's been.
organizing a demonstration, I believe, on Monday. I want to encourage anybody who is hearing us on this platform, who is in Ghana, in Accra, to be a part of this demonstration. I am hoping and praying that it will be one of the biggest demonstrations ever, because people are dying. Sometimes we don't even hear some of the stories, the horrible stories going on in especially the villages. But you see, the danger is that sometimes people think, oh, we live in the city, we don't care, we can afford to buy water. Have you forgotten that the plantain, the cassava, the coconut, the cocoyam you're eating is from those places? Sometimes do we even think about that? You know, so it has nothing to do with your proximity to where that havoc and that criminal act is taking place. I believe this is a crime to humanity, and all forces and all powers needs to be brought to bear to fight against this menace. And it's not just going into the forest to push people out, but sitting down with the community as well to strategize, to help them. Those who are ignorant needs to be educated. Those who are just flouting the laws needs to be dealt with. Those who needs jobs needs proper guidance and proper laid down procedures by which these things can be done decently to help our ecosystem. Because as it stands now, we are losing that fight. And if we're losing that fight, guess what? We're not just losing it alone in this generation, we're losing it for posterity as well. And I keep saying this. I'm still trying to find the time for us to bring Leadership Academy back. So we'll talk about the differences between politicians and leaders. where politicians think of the next elections, but leadership thinks of the next generation, the impact, the foundation they can lay for the next generation to build on. Because that is, with all these generations, layers of generations, it is all because we have to, it's an issue of what do we call it? Building blocks. You lay the foundation, the next person lays the block, the next person does this, the next person does the roofing, and we keep going. So imagine if a generation drops the ball, what is going to happen to the coming generation? So assuming we're supposed to lay the foundation and we slack and we refuse to lay the foundation, it means the next generation would have to come lay that foundation. And if they don't understand the concept of generational growth, this is what they're going to do. They're going to concentrate on the foundation alone. But thinking about generational growth, it is not just the foundation that needs to be laid within that space of time. We're supposed to be laying blocks at this time. So it only takes a generation that understand the concept of generational growth to be able to say that, okay, our fathers failed us. So it is our time to lay the foundation and lay the blocks as well. Other than that, as generations come and generations go, we're always going to be in the deficit. And that's what it's showing. That's what is happening to us, the African continent. We are in a deficit because every generation keeps failing the next generation. So please, I want to take this opportunity to entreat those of us who happens to find ourselves in Accra, the youth especially. It is your future. Or if I may say, it is our future. So we have to get involved. We have to fight to save the forest. And like I said, leadership will have to be up and doing. It's not just a matter of going in, pushing the people out. Because if you push the people out and you don't find a lasting solution, you don't bring the people to the table and you don't find help for them. Some of them, it's lack of jobs. So if it happens that you can employ these people in a well-structured mining companies, you do so. And we need to have our inspectors to be up and doing. Because I believe that's what the forestry department is for. And they need to be equipped. For instance, if you come to the United States, the forestry, I've forgotten the name they call them, the police, the forest police, I've forgotten the name. They have the same powers as a federal or the state police. You know, that is how important or the importance they have placed on preserving their forest and preserving their natural resources. They can throw you into jail one time. You know, so please let us put some of these measures in place to help protect our environment, because that is our life. And like I said, it should not just be going in and warding the people off and that's it. Because if you push them out of here, they'll go somewhere else. You push them, so it becomes a rotation. And that even worsens the case because they're going to be moving from one area to the other and be messing up the forests at a faster rate. So we want to entreat the government, bring the people on board. Let's find a strategic, a leadership plan to solve this problem. Because others are mining in other countries, but they don't have these issues. Why? Because there are well laid down procedures and precautions to be able to avoid some of these criminal activities going on. All right, Prof. I don't want to veer into the emotional element. So,
Well, I was gonna talk about your call for the demonstration. Are you aware that a few group of people who demonstrated last week, they were not violent, they didn't do anything out of the blue? They are in jail right now as we
last
speak.
week,
Yeah,
oh, I didn't hear of that.
they
I
are
didn't know
they
there was
they
a
are
demonstration
they
last week.
yeah, they are in jail. They were demonstrating against Galamsey. I'll try and find you some of the videos. And they were just summarily picked up. There was somebody who was just according to the sources, allegedly just filming the demonstration that was picked up. They were
Oh,
denied
I think I
access.
saw the video, but I thought it was last year's demonstration.
No,
Because
no,
I
they
thought
were.
I saw a video where somebody said the brother was just filming or something like that. He was not part
Yeah,
of the demonstration, he was just filming.
they were just picked up, and this erodes. You see, while I was talking about that, there is no confidence in the people of what the security agencies stand for. Do they stand for the people, or they stand for just the people in power? You know, and if you live in a society in which there is no trust between the police and the citizenry, this is what is going to happen. How many people are going to go on the street just to demonstrate when they know that the military can just pick up a gun and shoot them to death, or they can be picked up and put in jail for no apparent reason except the right to demonstrate? And when we talk about this Galamsey issue and its aftermath and everything, and the lack of understanding and clarity of where we are heading to if we continue to do the things that we do, what I see is that we have decoupled the consequences of our actions from the actions itself. What do I mean? If we understand consequences, there is no way somebody will pick up his trash from his house and put it in the gutter, not knowing that 2, 3 days from now, it is going to cause, let's say, flooding downstream. And that's where leadership becomes paramount, because our leaders truly understand the scope and the danger of Galamsey. But because they think they themselves are somehow segregated from the consequences, or cannot be impacted by the consequences, they sometimes behave as if it is not important to curb the menace. You call it a criminal act against humanity, and it is. Because if you are somebody who has done a little bit of natural resources management, you will understand that biodiversity is one of the most important issues why we should not degrade our lands and especially our reserves. All the pharmacy, drugs, whatever food that you eat, they came from the environment. We don't even know the capacity of the biodiversity within our forests yet, because there's some medicine that we have not discovered yet, there's some food source that we have not discovered yet, and we are just cutting the trees down and destroying the environment with no understanding of what it may entail for our future. You see, and because these things are politicized, when the NPP is in power, it will use the NDC as the villain and kick NDC, people who are doing the Galamsey out and replace them with their own. A few days ago, I got the information that Chairman Wuntumi, who is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, who owns a lot of so-called mining companies, that
goes into our forests and destroy them allegedly has had his license revoked and his accounts frozen. Why only him? Why him? Because he comes from the opposition party today. We saw a lot of those things when NPP came to power. Did they stop Galamsey? No. Are we going to stop Galamsey by just targeting the people in the opposition today? No. Because they are going to be replaced by people affiliated with the ruling government. That is why I've said repeatedly, it is the chiefs, the queens, and the people of the localities that own the land in trust for future generations. Our people, the present generation, very few of us even understand what the Aborigines fought for. When you were talking about our lands, we hold them in trust for our future generation. How many Ghanaians, how many Africans even know this and understand what it means? You see, and the reason why our leaders are able to do these things is that they keep the people ignorant of their rights and their responsibilities so that they can take advantage of them without them knowing. So I'll go back to pleading with our chiefs, with our queen mothers, with our local authorities to let the people understand that these lands are yours. We hold them in trust. And like what one of the leaders said, there is no chief who do not know what is going on his or her land. And if you are a chief and you don't know what is going on your land, you do not deserve to be a chief. And the educational aspect of these issues should be continuous and the people should rise up. We are not hungry enough. We are not angry enough. If we were, and we were constantly demanding action on Galamsey, believe me, the political class will take note. Thank you.
The political class will take note. Once again, we want to plead with the authorities to take a decisive action on how to solve this.
I don't know if you are muted. I cannot hear you.
Is it better now? Can you hear me now? Prof, can you hear me? I think it's from your end.
Let me see if I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I think it was from your end.
Okay.
All right. So, as I was saying, we want to plead with the politicians to do what they can and with the authorities to do what they can. And the kings, as you said, the traditional authorities, please, let's all get involved and salvage the situation because it's getting out of hand. The last thing we would want to talk about before we close the curtain will be the health system, and we're going to use the Tamale Teaching Hospital as a point of reference. I don't know if you saw the videos going around on social media where the Minister of Health visited the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Prof.
Yeah, I did hear the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I watched the video.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
yeah. Um, I've heard various commentaries on this particular issue, and for me, the only exciting part for me is the firing of the CEO. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I was explaining to him, like you said, I watched the video over and over, and I didn't even hear the CEO during the time the minister showed up and they're touring the place and talking about why you don't have running water, why you don't have this. I didn't hear the CEO saying that I made a proposal for this, I did this, I did that, but nobody has responded to it. And that is your responsibility. So it looks as if it's business as usual with the CEOs when the people, the doctors, the nurses, the people on the ground are suffering. That is why I'm pretty sure the doctor was trying to explain himself. The doctor was frustrated. Even though he was calm, he was trying to explain himself and they keep shutting him down. And I think they took his point out of context when he said, I don't even know why this has been blown out of proportion. I don't think he was referring to the death of the person, but I think he was referring to the process, the procedure, which they have been doing every day. And I believe that if he's given the opportunity to explain himself freely, he would let them understand that what beats his mind and what he is referring to as being blown out of proportion is the fact that they know this is the procedure. We don't have water. We don't have this. We don't have that. It is not alien to most people in Ghana. So he keeps hammering on the fact that because we don't have ventilators in the emergency ward. And that is what I believe he's referring to as being blown out of proportion. But I think, again, politicians were trying to be politicians. So they picked it from a different angle and to justify their points and to make people believe. And you see, the other thing that pissed me off in the video, that was the aftermath. I listened to a couple of people. Even Sami Jemfi said the same thing, that he was arguing with his superiors. What do you mean? What do you mean? We live in a culture where because you are the superior, I can't talk. I cannot express myself. Are they telling me they don't know the situation on the ground? Look, come on, gloves for the nurses to use is an issue. So the issue of them arguing with the bosses and what have you is neither here nor there. It really didn't make sense to me. The guy was trying to explain his point. He was trying to tell you this is the reason, and this is what has been going on for years. And my disappointment was to the CEO not intervening to say, okay, yes, this is the issue. I did XYZ. I have put in this program, or I've done this request. I even organized a meeting with this person, with that person, requesting for this, requesting for that. That is what he's supposed to be doing. So I was excited when he got fired because he didn't. I didn't even know he was the CEO. I thought the doctor that was explaining stuff was rather the CEO. Because the doctor was doing the job of the CEO. So please let us not play politics with the lives of the people. The health sector is a very important part of our system, and it needs all the attention. It needs all the attention. Because politicians or people in authority will be flown out of the country when they fall sick or when they need medical attention. So they don't care about what goes on in the local hospitals. These are issues, and that was the frustration of the doctor, even though he was even calm and trying to explain himself. And some of these politicians don't even understand why it's even offensive for the minister to tell him to shut up. It means you don't need his explanation. You know what is going on. And people seem not to see anything wrong with that picture. If you're not ready to be told the truth, then stop going on tours or stop the visitations. I want to believe that people visit these areas just to, 1 second. Yeah, I want to believe that people visit these areas just to, it's a fact-finding visitation where they go gather information as to what is going on the grounds, and they come back to the drawing board and try to fix it. But if you don't want to hear the explanations, then telling him, yes, I know there's no water, I know you guys are short-handed, but you should find something. What do you think they've been doing all these years? They've been improvising. They've been buying their own PPEs. So I want to applaud the minister for going on fact-finding tour or whatever. But the politics they're playing with some of these things is too much, and they got to stop it. If you really want to find what is going on, go there, let them speak. You shut up and let them speak. If there is anybody to shut up, it is the minister to shut up and hear them. The issue of they're talking to their bosses, arguing with their bosses does not make sense. Why did you come here then? If you don't want to hear from me, if you don't want to hear my frustrations, then there's no need for you to come here. So please, let's begin to use our brains a little bit. And in any case, these are people we have employed. The minister is our employee. So the issue of boss and what have you should be thrown out of the question. We're talking about human lives here. We're talking about the future of the health system. So you go on fact-finding missions or fact-finding tours, keep quiet, ask the relevant questions, let them vent, let them tell you what's going on, go back to the drawing board and fix it. Don't just go around walking with cameras for show and go back and as business as usual. So I really want to applaud this doctor for not shutting up because they're frustrated. Look, I've spoken to 2 health workers in Ghana, 1 midwife, and it's mind-blowing. The midwife was telling me the midwifery department where they are delivering babies every day, sometimes for a whole week, has no water supply. So they use a small bucket to go get some water from another department. They have no gloves. And she is fortunate enough, the boyfriend is in the United States. So the boyfriend buys some of these PPEs and send them to her. I mean, it's so appalling when you listen to these health workers. And instead of us empathizing and sympathizing with them, we want to play politics out of this whole thing. But again, to sum up my frustration, I'm glad the CEO was fired, because throughout the discussions, I didn't hear him putting out any submission that he did XYZ and he's expecting or waiting for results. So CEOs, when you're appointed, it is not business as usual, go in there and begin to make changes, positive changes to impact the people within your domain. Be effective. Don't make it as business as usual. So for me, the only good thing I took out of this is the fact that the doctor vented his anger or his frustration, and the CEO got fired. Your take, Prof. And
I totally
Ush is also
disagree.
on the line.
Yeah, I totally disagree with the firing of the CEO.
Okay.
Totally. Based on the same arguments you are making. Okay. Now, do you remember when a very old lady was just picked up from her hospital bed and dumped on the streets in some village because nobody was paying for her medical bills? You remember that, right?
Right.
And you also remember when a lady that was about to give birth was in an ambulance and they asked the husband to pay for the fuel, and unless the fuel was paid, they were not driving to the hospital, and the lady died.
Right.
Okay. This same minister of health has been to some hospitals in the Accra region. I think it was the Premier Hospital. What's the name? No, not Kolebu, the military one.
37.
I think so. And he found exactly the same problems that he's finding in Tamale. We've not had any report as to what has been done about it. This problem that you are talking about, because I was in Ghana for 5 years and I worked with some researchers concerning some of these issues, I'm very privy to the procurement issues in Ghana. When I started watching the video, I sent messages to 2 of my classmates who are doctors, very high-ranking doctors.
Prof,
I cannot
let
mention.
me please hold your thoughts right there. Let me give you a picture of this. My reason for saying I was glad he was fired was because he did not put up any submission of what he did to remedy the situation. He was just quiet.
I get your point.
So it's like business as usual for them. So I was expecting him to say, hey, I held a meeting with this person. I tabled these demands or these requests last week or whatever, and I'm still waiting. When you even came to office, I placed a call to your office. Unless these things, he was scared to say them, then that's it. But if you are not putting any solutions up against your doctor trying to vent his anger or vent his frustrations, then it means you're not doing anything. That's my point.
I believe the CEO is a very bad leader if he didn't do any of these things. I am not going to give excuses for him. But we've not seen the whole video of their interactions.
Okay. I give you that point. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I'm saying I disagree with the firing.
Okay. I get that.
The Minister of Health have every legal right to fire the CEO. But I disagree with the firing based on what they have shown us.
Okay.
Okay. It could be selected for just
political showbiz.
Yes, exactly. So I know we are running out of time and that we may continue.
Yeah, we're going to continue next week.
But what I want to put across is this. If there is a systemic problem, there should be a holistic approach to its solution. And there was this one resource person on the program that was detailing what the World Health Organization, the Ghana Health Service, the Doctors Association, the kind of research that they have done and the recommendations that they have brought out. And that for 2 years, he has been advocating that all these CEOs and all these doctors should walk off the hospital floors until these demands are met. The government of Ghana knows where the problem is. The government of Ghana has failed to answer to the call of the health needs of its own people. And the people are not agitating enough for these solutions.
Don't you think that was a beautiful opportunity for the CEO to point out some of these things to them?
That is exactly the reason why I am saying that I need to see the whole video of their interactions, because for all you know, when I'm playing the devil's advocate here, when the health minister went to the health facility, he might have first gone to the office of the CEO, and the CEO might have said some things, and he might have been shut down. And I know our people, just like you said, oh, he's the minister, you can't talk back. Okay? And where I want to land is this. If you live in a country where the political elite can ship themselves at your expense to foreign countries for medical emergencies and everything connected to their medical health, together with their families, they have absolute zero incentive to make sure that your healthcare system is better. Zero incentive. That's where I'm going to land. As long as the political elite in Ghana can come to the United States, can go to South Africa, can go to India, can go to wherever, and me, the taxpayer, I have to pay for their expenses, why should they make sure that the health facilities in Ghana actually works? They don't have any incentive to do that. So as far as I'm concerned, until they abolish that practice, the health minister is just there for political showmanship. That's my first take. The procurement laws of the health ministry, one of my colleagues who is a top-tier doctor calls it legalized corruption.
Okay. Prof, hold it right there. I think we would need that next week, because I believe you're going to need time to unpack the legalized corruption of the procurement systems going on in the health sector. So on that basis, would want to draw the curtains for today's Analyze This. Next week, we're going to have an interesting one, because I know Prof is going to give us a power-packed lecture on the legalized corruption in the procurement systems in the health sector of Ghana. My name is, and has always been, Nana Osei Bonsu Jr. of AfriWork International Organization and Serto Leadership International. And my co-host,
always Koyewu Afrimpong of the same Serto and AfriWork.
Thank you so much for being a part. Ashush was on briefly. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your contributions. Hope to see you next week, same time. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
All right. See you, bro.